Good morning, everyone. Nice to see people coming in on this beautiful Friday. So I will go ahead and get started because we've got a few people in here already and we're ready to go. So my name is Rachel Pratt. I am Vice President of Operations here with BEX, and this is DATABEX. I'm going to show you all about what we do here at DATABEX and what you can find in here, how it'll be a useful tool for you, and what kind of value it'll bring to your company. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And this is DATABEX. So this is the dashboard that you see when we get in here. What we do is we look for projects only in Arizona, construction projects in Arizona that have a valuation of $5 million or more. So in this case, we're not getting all those smaller projects that are like under 5 million, which nowadays isn't a whole lot because of construction prices. But my point is that you won't find everything in here. You will just find the major projects going on in Arizona. We focus strictly on commercial, no residential. Then commercial includes industrial. It also includes multifamily and single family for rent. So there is a component of residential in it, but it is not single family detached where they build one at a time. So there is some possibilities there if you do some type of residential work as well. Within DATABEX, we have features that we have shortcuts too. So these are kind of bigger features within the application that you can go directly to when you jump in on these beautiful purple buttons. We have saved searches, which enables you to save the criteria for the searches that you put in, and it will activate a daily or weekly digest, which is an email notification system that is emailed directly to your email every morning, and it'll bring back results to your saved searches that are new to the database or recently updated. You can also follow projects. So anytime they're updated by our research team, you get an instant email notification. You can also express interest in projects, meaning everybody that opens up the project will be able to see the services that you provide in your contact information right there on the project. You can also create notes, so you can keep track of information inside of the database or inside of the application. And you can do that for projects and companies. So you do have a few ways to interact with the app and keep information in here if you choose to do so. There are quite a few search methods in here. We have 5 different searches just for projects alone. So we have search by details, which is going to be all the things that you would want to put in as criteria, like the market sector, the status, the valuation, an owner, the sector, the square footage, that kind of thing. Whereas keywords are going to pick up those keywords that might be somewhere inside of the database, but not exactly inside of a project name. We also have location, which is our map search, by activity, which is going to include all the projects that are new to the database and updated, or your timeline search. So the timeline search is going to be a feature that we just added. It's fairly new. And what it does is it enables you to search projects by the information in the timelines on the project. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. You can also search companies, contacts, as well as open and closed solicitations. Now, here's the keyword search right here on the dashboard. The first thing you see. You can see I have a little option to save it. There's 3 places in the database where you can save a search. One of them is on the project the keyword search. The other one is the project search by details, and the last one is the project solicitation search, which is the one I was trying to say in the first place. So those are the 3 searches that we can activate the save searches for. I also have an ongoing webinar here that you can check out if you ever have a question on something. When you open it up on YouTube, it's got timestamps of all the different topics, so you can just jump right to it if you wanted to, and you don't have to watch the whole thing. I know everyone's pressed for time these days. These are main buttons to 2 different searches inside of the database. So project searches by details, companies, contacts, solicitation, and then the map search, which is the project search by location. At the bottom, we have a list of your recently viewed projects and recently added projects. So you can always kind of stay up to date with what we're putting in here. So that kind of sums up what's happening on the dashboard. So let me dive into one of the searches. Let's go with project details. That's going to be our biggest way to filter down information. So here's that save search option. All you do is click on it. You give it a name. So I could call it demo for 9/3/21, but you might want to call it healthcare and planning or multifamily and design or something along those lines, something that gives you an idea of what that search was. You can search for project name if you want to. You also have the option to show all projects by a certain owner. City, state, zip, and then sector, which includes tribal, federal, private, public, everything. And then these are really useful for contractors or design firms or even subcontractors and vendors that are looking to have the right person or the right contract available for them. So if I was a design firm, I want to make sure that all the projects that I get back have that design contract available, right? So I would want to make sure that that's available. As opposed to where I was a contractor, I want to make sure that the contract for construction is available. So those are options too. Now, it's also good for people that are looking to make sure that the right people are on the project in order for them to talk to. For example, subcontractors need to get in touch with the general contractors, and if there isn't one, then they can't really pursue it yet, essentially. So maybe they want to find projects that already have the general contractor on it. So they want to make sure that that contract is not available. And I know this is a little backwards, and I apologize for that. It's a little confusing. So I try to make it very clear when I do these demos. Project status. So this is anything from pre-planning, added to CIP, design plan review, all the way through project completion. We do have a lot of different statuses in here, and it is name sensitive. What I mean by that is if I pick up planning, it's going to also see pre-planning because planning is in the same word, right? As far as design goes, the same for design plan review, it'll pick up those as well. So we're looking for those earlier projects. That's what this application really focuses on, is getting projects earlier. That's what our subscribers are telling us that they want. They want them earlier. We want more private work. So that's where we focused. So in this particular database, you will find that there is more private work than public. You will find that there are projects earlier rather than later or active bid. So there is definitely contact information on everything. Hopefully it's the right contact that you need to get a hold of, but you might have to go through that contact to get your right contact, just depending on your business and how you do your business. So market, we've categorized everything within here on a horizontal and vertical basis. So horizontal construction would be your roadways, your utilities, even your parks and recs. But we're looking at vertical construction of structures. So that's where we kind of differentiate between the two, and that's how we separated the markets. So if you picked horizontal, it would pick everything underneath it, right? It would pick up your flood control, your highways, your transit, your utilities, wet utilities, solar. Whereas if you picked vertical, you're looking for everything in vertical. If you want just healthcare projects, you can pick healthcare projects, or you can get super specific and say, I just want to look for hospitals, just looking for hospitals, and you can narrow it down that way. When you pick healthcare, again, it'll pick up all three of these as well. So industrial, data centers, industrial warehouse, we got mixed use, multifamily. We added a new one recently, a multifamily build to rent. There's so much of that going on right now that we actually had to create a new market for it. So that one's in there as well. Student housing, we have senior housing, public works, retail, self-storage, and single family. Divisions, this is pretty self-explanatory. If you are looking for something within a division, we only go to that first tier. So we're just looking at that first level. It's a higher look at things. Method of delivery. This is a way to search for things. It's not my favorite. I think you get better results looking for projects and narrowing it down that way. We also have estimated valuation and square footage too. So it does give you an option to put in a range, whether you're looking for maybe projects that are worth 100 million to 200 million. This is what that can do, as well as square footage. So let me go in here and we can kind of cover what we want to search for. So let's say, and I'm trying to remember who we have on the line today. Let me see. Right. General contractor, Dan Green, Roger Daly, Allison. All right, let's say I'm a general contractor. I want to search for projects that I know will have that construction contract available. I'm looking at projects in an earlier side. So we're looking at design plan review, could be in planning, added to CIP. The benefit to adding mark or statuses that are earlier than when you would actually go for it is that if you find something that you think you might want to go after when it's ready, you can follow it. And then you get update notifications anytime there's an update. So you can kind of follow it through the life cycle of the project and get emails and know when it's ready for you. So that's one way I always encourage people to look for things that are a little bit earlier than you might think and follow them. Okay, so I think that's good for a general contractor. As far as market, let's say I work in healthcare, hospitality, industrial, and mixed use, and office. Multifamily is huge. It is literally almost half of the private projects in the database right now, active. It's huge. If you don't work in multifamily and you have the ability to do it, I would definitely recommend trying to get into that space. There is a lot of opportunity there. So divisions, I'm not too worried about as a general contractor. Method of delivery, not so much at this point. I do want to see what's available. I don't want to limit myself yet, but I do have a, let's say I have a threshold of, I usually do anything over 10 million. So I can type in 10 million. All right, so there we go. Let's search. So I have 123 projects that fit that exact criteria. Now, if I had not picked a status within this, I would want to make sure that I'm looking at active projects only, because it'll pick up canceled, it'll pick up completed, things that are not necessarily what I'm looking for. But since I did decide on a status and give it a status to search, I don't need to do that. Now, anywhere in the database that you see a table, you can download it, and you can download it as a CSV or as a PDF. So we're looking at data analysis, or we're looking at printing something. So there's a lot of ways that you can use the information. In addition to that, the information that you get isn't just what you see on the screen. You get the project ID, which is an internal ID, and it's super easy to remember. It's a 4-digit number. Project name, owner, valuation, city, zip, state, or excuse me, status, market, square footage. And then you have design and prime contractor, which is huge. So that's a real useful tool. If you wanted to come in here, you could, as in Excel, filter this down and make sure that you can filter all of the same architects together. And then you can see the active projects that they have going on right now. If they have a general contractor, which is the filter we put on, so you know they don't. Square footage, see that market. Here's all the stuff that they're working on right now. So if you have a connection with Butler Design Group, for example, hit them up on these projects, see what's going on with them, see if you can work that network, right? And we also indicate whether you're following the project and when it was last updated. So you can kind of see how often we're checking on these projects. So in addition to that, we can also sort the information here. So maybe I want to make sure, I want to check out the ones that are in pre-planning. These are really early. These are ones that I might want to follow at some point. So Reed Park Zoo Master Plan. I know they got a bunch of stuff coming up on their CIP this year. So I might want to look into that one, for example. Now this is a master plan. So it might have, oh, this was part of a master plan, excuse me. So this one is the phase 2 section. And let's see if I can find the description here. So phase 2 of construction of new exhibits and improvements to the Reed Park Zoo in Tucson. Now that's the description, right? I have a schedule here. There's a detailed description, but let me come back up to the top real quick because I want to show you this, the rendering. Here's phase 2. They're showing us it's Africa right there, and that's part of phase 2, right? And then here's the timeline. Remember I told you we could search by timeline earlier? This is that timeline I was talking about. You have 3 different sections: planning, design, and construction. And these are when we expect things to happen in design. We either have confirmed it or we have extrapolated with all the information that we have that things are going to be happening at this time. Here's the construction. We anticipate construction being between here and here. We also have the ability to print the projects themselves. So for example, I could print this one out. I could follow the project. Remember earlier I talked about following. Let me jump back over here. When you follow the project, it adds it to your account and then notifies you whenever there's an update. And it turns yellow, so you know you're following it. Here's another thing you want to look at: the last checked on date and the last update sent on. So we're checking on these projects periodically. This one I know is coming up for an update because I just saw it on the City of Tucson's master plan yesterday. And so we get to put more information that we've pulled from that into the database. So we're looking at all these documentations online. We're looking at capital improvement programs. We're looking at planning and zoning documents. We're looking at permits pulled. Anything that we can document is gold for us because that's in writing, right? It's not hearsay. It's not a rumor. It's documentation. And that is one of the things that we really look for in projects so that we can get you accurate information. Here we always have the status. One of the things you can't see on this particular project because it's so far out is the today indicator. And let me pull up a different one just so I can show you what that looks like. Maybe something that's in design. Let's try this one. Here we go. So we have a rendering. It looks like an industrial project. Here's that today indicator I was talking about. It's just a little line through here. And it looks like we're just starting construction, probably in pre-construction at this point. So I'm sorry, I'm jumping around like this. I'm trying to find one that is a great example of everything I want to show you. So, oh, what I didn't do is show you the PDF that we printed off. So this is that Reed Park Master Plan Phase 2. We bring in that rendering for you. You want that visual, right? We got it. We also have the project fundamentals, as we call them, with the owner, any project number, the market sector, the ID, address, the valuation, the project description, and then a detailed project description as well. We also have the timeline added, but in a table format. And we have the status of the project and the status notes. So I haven't gone over the status notes yet. Let me do that. Here's the status notes. It's just below the status. So we know this project is in planning. We last checked on it in April. It's very early. We're not supposed to look into design until 2023. Now we're looking at the status note. The status note is most of the time the last information that we got that we want to convey to you about the project. So our research team, we have a research team of 4.5 people just covering Arizona right now. So we're looking at everything. We're looking at project solicitations. We're looking at, hundreds and hundreds of websites twice a week. The status note is going to be who we talked to, when we talked to them, and what they said, or what documentation we found, or what article we've uploaded. It's going to give you like the latest information on the project that we have. When we get an update on a project, it's called the update sent was. So we last checked on this project on 4/12 and we got an update. So we sent out the update and that was the last time we had an update. These might change and be different at points where we go and check on the project, but nothing's changed. So that would be a indicator that We're looking into this, but we haven't found anything that we need to update yet. On the job, similar to what we have in our magazine, if you're familiar with it, we have the owner, the design firm, and the prime contractor listed for you. Project details is going to be the square footage, the estimated valuation, the sector, the market, and the address with the project description. And then we also have a schedule on this one. Detailed description and notes. So here's where we're going to add all the juice, right? This is going to be the specifics about the project as well as CIP information in this case. This is a public project, so we have CIP information in this one. They also had a master plan from 2018. They're expecting this budget for phase 2 to be about $28 million. We have the divisions included, so that first level, and contacts. Now, this one is very early, as you know. We have one contact on it, the owner. When a project is under construction, I mandate that we have at least one owner, at least one design firm, and at least a general contractor. So those are the 3 minimum number of contacts that we require our team to put on the projects. And it'll include things like their phone number, their cell phone number, their email. We even track their LinkedIn page so you can see if they're moving around. This one's also downloadable as well. Here's a map of the location. Pretty self-explanatory. Not sure I need to go into too much detail there. And then here's our documentation. Here's our files. Now the files that we're looking for are anytime that we publish in the DATABEX magazine, we're pulling those articles out of the magazine and we're uploading them into the project. So all of that data stays with the project. There's a master plan here. We have the master plan layout. There's not a whole lot of documentation on this yet because it's so early. They're still working on all the planning part of it. Now I'm going to run back up to the top here. Previous status notes. Now remember, this one's super early, so we're not going to have a huge history, which is why I was looking at a different one I could choose from to show you a little bit more information. Links. So here's the master plan for the entire zoo. This is a page set up by Reed Park Zoo or City of Tucson from the owner, right? That's what we usually put here, is a link that is created for the project by the owner. When solicitations come out for this one, for design and construction, we will grab those solicitations and add them to the project and list them here. Here's where you can keep notes on the project, like you were talking to so-and-so and he said check back with you whenever. Or another kind of cool thing you can do with this is share notes. And what that does is it sends an email to your team that you shared a note on the project, so you can communicate through the app. All right, associated projects. Now this is how we link projects together. So, right, this is a big master plan and they've been working on it for years and they're going to be working on it for more years. We have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and we have all of these guys together in one, I guess, group. We call it, these are, yeah, so they're a group, right? They're all part of the bigger master plan, but they're master plans inside of them. It's a fun dynamic to try and convey. But these are links to those projects as well. Now, let's suppose I provide tile, right? I provide, or pavers. We'll go with pavers since this is a zoo. And I'm interested in providing pavers for this project. What I can do is write in the service that I provide, say I'm interested, and it'll refresh. And what it does is it adds my contact information to the project for all database users to see. So now you can see I'm interested in providing pavers on this project. This is the company I work for and this is who I am. And if you click on that, it'll pop up with my contact information. So I've got my email, my mobile phone, which is also my only phone, my LinkedIn, my company, the address, etc. Now, if I was related to any of these projects, so maybe I was an architect or an engineer and I was listed on one of these projects, it would be listed here. And I'll show you what that looks like. Let me see if I can grab. Let's see if Jim has got any other projects he's under. There we go. He's in charge of all 3 of those phases of the Reed Park Zoo master plan. So now you can see all of these that he's related to. Now this is really cool to use like if you're actually reaching out to this person, because it's not like, oh yeah, I know about that project, but I'm not on it. They're on it. They know everything. They're definitely the right people to talk to. Let me back out of here a little bit. So that covers what's included just on the project profile. There's a lot going on here. Now, as far as that PDF goes, I wanted to kind of continue with it, and I apologize, I'm jumping around a little bit. Project status, right? We have the previous status notes, which I showed that there wasn't any because it's pretty early on this one. We have project contacts, which includes their information. So this is something you can easily print up, take into your office meeting and show your boss and say, hey, I think we should pursue this project. Here's the contact information. Here's the details on the project. Bam. You look like a rock star, right? Map, divisions, and in these solicitations as well. All right, so let's back up a little bit. Now, I'm coming back over here. I've showed you what's involved with the project profile. You see these little eyeballs? This one is purple. That means I'm following that project. So it's just a little indicator that you're actually following some of these projects already. Now let's jump into a different search. A keyword search is pretty self-explanatory. I don't know if I want to go into that too much, but the location, the map search is really fun, and I have to show it to you because it's one of my favorite things. The least favorite thing about it is that it takes a minute to load just because it's getting so much information. But other than that, this thing is really cool. So it's looking for your current location, and it might drop down asking you if it could use your location. And then it drops every single project that's active from the database onto one map, and you literally just pan around looking at all the projects. It even has a market sector filter on here too. So if you're just looking for like data centers, or you're looking for hospitals or something like that, you can filter that down and see what's going on with all these projects and where they're nesting, or where they're grouping, or their locations essentially, and where it's become popular. So here's everything we've got in the database. And you can see we just do Arizona right now. We will expand one day, but today we are doing Arizona. I'm going to zoom in, and you can start to see some of these are blue. Those are projects I'm following. So now I know I don't need to check on them because I'm already following them. I'm going to come up here to my market sector. Let's filter down by, let's do K-12. All right. So now I have all these K-12 projects. These are active projects that are happening right now. And I can literally just come in here, zoom around, click on these markers, and it pops up with the project name, the address, the location, the valuation, and the status. I can click on full details, and it'll open up that project profile. Taking too long. I'm so impatient. And then you can see the project profile here. Here is, these little diamonds are indicators that there was a solicitation, and it automatically marks it. So, and there's a lot of other things that you might see as diamonds, but typically it's a solicitation because it's a due date and rather than a range. So it shows up like that. And when you hover over it, you can see the CMAR was due on March 3rd. And here is our today indicator. Now, other things that I can do with this map search is, see this little checkbox, add to list? I can create a customized list with a click of a button, and I just come in here and I find other ones. I say, let's see, nope, that one's not a good one, but yes, this one is. And what happens is these projects start to populate underneath the map, and then they create their own list, which there I can download as a CSV or a PDF. So it's just a way for me to, instead of using the filters on the project search, I can come in here and find the specific projects that I want. Then I can add them to a PDF, for example, and then I can print it out and take it into, you know, a meeting or whatever I do. So here's what that looks like as a printout. It's It looks like a table, but it's got all the information of the status, the square footage, the address, the owner, etc. Now this one came from the map search, so we've included addresses in this one. All right, that is our map search. I guess one of the fun things about this one is when you're driving around town and you see a construction fence going up and you're like, what is that? I don't know what that is. And you don't know how to find out. This is a great way to do it. You just pan around to where it is, zoom in, and voila, that's what it is. So that's one of my favorite things to do with this. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my search, my project search. We've done location, activity. I don't know if I need to go over this too much. It's literally just a list of the most recent added projects and updated projects. It's pretty self-explanatory. Details open up the project profile. Now, project search by timeline. Now, this is the new one we just added, so it's still in a beta kind of status. You're welcome to give your feedback. The timeline that you see has 3 different stages. It has the planning stage, the design stage, and the construction stage. So what we're doing with this form is we're taking one of those stages and then we're searching for the end or the beginning anywhere on the timeline. So we can look into the future, we can look into the past, or we can look into the present. It's your choice. So let's say I just want to look for projects that are supposed to start construction, and let's go with January of 2022. Maybe I'm looking for something to go after. I've got a lull in my my planning for next year, and I need something to do at that point, right? I can come in here and say, I want to find construction projects that are happening on January of 2022 to, let's say, July of 2022. So there's like a 6-month window that when things are supposed to start. I can search. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Let me go back. I did not put in a market sector. So, I mean, I don't have to, but for fun, we're going to do it. January of 2022 to July 2022. And let's say we're going to go into the market of, let's do industrial. Lots of industrial happening right now as well. Multifamily and industrial are seriously the booming industries right now. So here we go. We have 12 projects that meet that exact criteria of when they are starting in that 6-month period. So there's 12 industrial projects that are starting right then. So we can look at any of these to see if they are good fits for us. I can see I'm not following any of them. I can download them. I can also open them. So Lucid Motors, this is becoming quite popular right now. We've got an RFQ that was due in April, and here's our today marker. We're looking at an estimated design and an estimated construction timeline. So some of these projects are harder to get confirmed timelines on because either people are not responding to us or they don't know. Most of the time it's kind of like, well, we're supposed to start this time, but things never work out when the schedules are made in this industry. It seems like everyone's a little off somewhere. Something's always going to take longer, especially right now with the construction prices and everything going through the cities taking forever. Things are not moving along as they normally would. So there is a way you can kind of use that timeline search to see if these are good fits for you. You can also use the timeline search to look for projects that maybe just finished construction, for example. Maybe you're doing like commissioning testing and you need to make sure that these guys are compliant with their commissioning standards before they get their certificate of occupancy. I'm just coming up with stuff on the fly here. So we're looking at the stage ends. So maybe construction ends and we'll say December of this year. Well, actually, let me come back a little bit. Let's say October of this year to December of this year. And I'm going to look in the vertical market because I don't have a lot of restrictions on what I need to do for commissioning. I forgot to select my stage, and it's construction. And I use construction more often than I would use planning or design, because those are usually easier timelines to get. Planning timelines are so loosey-goosey. They're not exactly starting here and ending here, because planning kind of starts a long time before it officially starts, and it keeps happening throughout the project. So that's my interpretation anyway. I think you're always planning to make things work, planning the things that are going to make it happen, right? So we have 160 results that fit that criteria, right? That's quite a good number of leads. Even if it doesn't include everything you need, it gives you a place to start. So that's why I would recommend doing this as well as maybe a detailed search, because it can filter down a little bit more of those criteria. I'm going to jump into a company search now. So in the company search, you can do kind of a shotgun or a sniper approach. In this case, you're looking for, let's say, I want to look for Oakland Construction. Or I could search for general contractors that in the state of Arizona, maybe that work on multifamily, for example. And now I have a list of 102 general contractors that work in multifamily. When I click on the details, let me find one I know has all the information I want to show you. All right, there's Busing Corp. So Busing Corp is a civil contractor, and they do a lot of stuff in the Valley. This is what you would consider a company profile. We're looking at their website. We're getting a link to the type of contractor they are, what sector they might work in, the markets they work in, their logo. Here's the context that we have for their team. Now, these are not everybody in the company. There's a lot of people in this particular one. This is not going to be everyone. We're looking at people that are attached to a project or are key members of the company. Also database users. So Busing Corp is a database user, if I recall correctly. So there might be people in here that wouldn't normally be listed on other companies because they are database users. So my point is, we're not tracking everybody in the company. That's my point. Now we have active projects and completed projects. So now we can look at all these different companies and find out what projects they're working on. So I can come in here and see, oh, good for Busing. They got TSMC, good for them. That's a huge project. The Ray, I'm not familiar with that one. The Northwest Valley Transport Project and I-10 SA85 Super Auto Wave. So they've got some stuff that they're working on. I'm really curious to know what this is. So I want to open it up. Just goes to that project profile, right? All right, looks like a multifamily project. Nice one too. Okay, completed projects. Now we can see what they've done in the past. Now you would think it completed projects, well, they've done a lot more than that, obviously. Now remember, this is actually a pretty young database. We've only been tracking information since about 2016. And at that point, we were tracking 10 million and up. We went down to 5 million in 2019, I think it was. No, 18. And so now we have a history of the projects from 5 million all the way to that point. And we don't get everything that the contractors are on if they are not like the main contractor. Like I said, you have to have at least one general contractor. So there could be a civil general contractor, there could be a vertical general contractor, but we might only get that vertical contractor on there. So let's keep going. Search by contacts. This one is really cool because you can actually use it to populate your CRM system. So if I want to get all of the landscape architects in Arizona, like from the, okay, let me start over. The search contacts looks for all the people that you put in here, either by name or email. So we're looking at the sniper approach here. When you go to company and types, it's looking for the shotgun approach. So I could look for all the contacts in a certain company, and that'd be awesome. Or I can look for all the landscape architect company contacts. So I'll show you what I mean. Now there's 320 in here. So it picked up all the companies that are labeled as landscape architects and then grabbed all the contacts out of those companies. We also have the title in here too, so you can see if we're talking to the right people or not. Now, Anderson Barron no longer in there. They're gone. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but they are no more. So we have the president of Alba Studio, which I believe is part of Anderson Barron now. Let me move on to a non-Anderson Barron type company. Here we go. So Cole and Associates, okay? So Cole and Associates has vice president, chief strategist, project manager. You have all these people. We have emails. When you click on the download, this is where the gold is. I can open this up. And now I have company name, the contact name, their title, their office, direct phone, their LinkedIn, their cell phone, and their email in one Excel document that I can format to upload into my CRM. How cool is that? It's awesome. I wonder, I'm like, you know, we have this great tool. And I don't even think we use it for our own use. Isn't that crazy? We should totally do this. I don't know why we don't. Anyway, so here we go. Search by solicitations. So searching by solicitations is another one of those save search options right here. Now I can search by owner. Maybe I want to look at all the ADOT projects that are happening right now. I guess I could fill that in. There we go. Or I can search by market sector. I could filter by the request type. Maybe I'm looking specifically for CMAR requests. And the due date or pre-submittal date. I recommend just leaving it open because it's super easy to see what's going on as far as the submittal date and due date, because it's only going to bring back the open project solicitations unless you display all, and then it'll bring back everything. Now, when you click on closed and awarded, this is a really great way to look at who's submitting on projects and who was awarded. So let me just show you what that looks like so I can show you a solicitation that has been processed, I guess. You can see everything that we include. All right, let me pick one of these out real quick. Let's see. I don't want to do a sub-bid request because that is not going to give us the general contractors. So in this case, I-10 SR85 to Verado Way. So it grabbed the timeline from the project and put it up there so you can relate to what's happening within the project. Here's the information. It's an IFD. It's closed and it was requesting construction services. I can go to the project from here. I can follow the project from here. Always have a contact for solicitations, always. So you always have somebody that you can at least call or talk to. Here are the solicitation details. We have the reference number, the due date and time, the request, like what are they asking for? It's roadway construction on the Erin Bridge. I'm sorry, I'm murdering that. Phoenix Highway, I-10 from State 85 to Verado Way. Was there a pre-submittal conference? No. If there was, it would be listed here as far as whether it was in person, if it was Zoom. We also have whether it's mandatory or not. There is a plan holders list here, and there's a DBE goal of 9.76. If you're a DBE firm, I highly recommend you doing a keyword search for DBE. That will get you really good information. So now we have the firms that submitted on this project. There's 5 of them. Each of these will take you to their company profile. You can see who was awarded the project, F&F Construction. And here are the solicitation files, the plans and specs, and the request, as well as the award, the bid results, etc. So those are all the things that we would include in the project. Now, I didn't show you this on the project profile, but you can view plans. You can view any of these files, documents, or download them from the solicitation or the project. I don't know why it took me so long to say that. We also have related solicitations. So if the project had multiple solicitations, we would list them all here. So there's 3 total, this one. There's the actual request for construction services. And then we have the sub-bid request from F&F and the sub-bid request from Archer Western. So that is the project solicitation search. We have gone through all the search functions here. So I'm gonna kind of go through a couple of the other things that we do have inside of the database. First of all, let me get back to our home page here. Each account has assigned a manager to the account. It could have more than one manager, but it needs to have at least one. And this is where the account manager can add a user or add a license or remove a license to an individual on their team. So for example, let's say I want to remove this guy from my team. He doesn't need access anymore. I just click on edit next to his name and disable access. And now he can no longer log in. I can save it. Yes, that's fine. So then what happens? Yes, I did. Yes, that's good. Oh, I guess I should click back. There we go. So now he no longer has access, and it shows me right here. That means I've added an extra license to my account, and now I can assign this to someone else. How many licenses do you have in your account? It'll tell you right there. We have 20. Now, let's say this is a new person that's coming in. I can click on add new person, put in their information and save it. It'll end up looking like this because they haven't been assigned access. Then I can come into edit and enable their access. Now, the most important thing you got to do is make sure you send them an invitation to sign up. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to get in. They won't be able to log in. So I'll send an email and then save it and back, and he's good to go. Okay. I can also see who's been logging in, see who's been using the app. Is my team actually making use of this application? I don't know, but I can tell right now. Here's all the people that are working today that are logging in and using the application. I can also check out my company. What my company is my company profile. I can make sure that, you know, our logo's up to date, our contact information's up to date, our projects are up to date, anything you want. When you have something you want to change, you just request an update, click on that, and then it'll send it over to me and I will update your profile for you. So that's what's included in the manager log here. We also have a help site that's set up just for you. It's a knowledge base, so it's full of information about, you know, projects and company contacts, account management, solicitations, interface, all that stuff. You just need to type something in like, let's see, master projects, and it comes up with a couple of things that you can choose from. I can click on master projects, and now I have an article or a knowledge base of information about master projects. Okay, so that's the help site. If you ever need it, it's there for you. And then of course you can always contact us if you have questions. So my contact information is here, my cell phone is here, here's Rebecca's. So we're available anytime. Anytime you have a question, I'm happy to answer for you. So when I go to my account, I have a couple of things in here. This is where everything's stored, right? That makes sense. When I go to my account, it's going to bring up my profile. So this is what's published about me in the database. I have my first name, my last name, my title, my email, my LinkedIn, and my mobile number. Those are all my contact details, right? Here's the company information that I'm assigned to, who's my billing manager, and when my account expires as well. We do have account preferences up here as well. Remember earlier when I mentioned the save searches, activate the daily digest? This is by default, this is activated. So as soon as you get a save search, it'll start sending you those daily digests. If you, for some reason, don't want daily digests, you can deactivate them. You can activate a weekly digest instead if you'd like, but you need to save it, because if you don't save it, then it doesn't remember, right? So That is always something I forget to do, is to save it, even though that button's right there. You gotta save it. Here are the users in my company, kind of overview of what the manager sees. Here's the managers assigned and who has access to the app. You can also have a change your password from here as well. On the project notes, this is where all of my project notes are for all of my projects. So if I ever need to come back and say, who was that guy that I talked to? Oh, it was Gary Ellis. That's the project. Now I can click back into the project and pick up from where I left. It'll also tell you whether or not it was shared or if it was private. Company notes, same thing as this. It's just for the companies instead of projects. This one's pretty cool, actually. The follow-up projects, we've enabled a tagging system within this list, so you can actually track the projects that you're going after or you have interest in. So, for example, Reed Park Zoo Master Plan. I did follow this project when I was doing the demo earlier. Now, what I can do is I can come in and add a tag to it. So maybe I want to add a tag of public. Maybe it's a public work. Or maybe I'm a regional sales manager and I want to assign this project to one of my sales team. So I can say, Bill, I think Bob. I'm going to give this one to Bob. And I need to follow up on this project. Let's say I want to follow up on 11/1 of this year. And now I can update. So now all three of those tags have been added to the project. So I can come in here and when it's 11/1, I come in here and I click on 11/1/21. I search. It's going to bring up all the projects that has that tag. So I need to know, I need to check back on this project on 11/1. Bob's the one who's got it. So I need to check in with Bob. And what I'm going to do is find all the projects that I've signed to Bob. Here's all the Bob projects. So now when I call them about this one, I can probably check in on these two or these others as well. So it's just a way to organize the projects so that you can do your job easier. And whatever tagging system you can come up with, kudos. I thought this was really, really innovative, the way that someone actually came up with a CRM system with this. And I was like, that's brilliant. I got to do that in my demos. I love it. So you can also unfollow projects from here as well. But that was my my excitement for the projects followed list. Okay, I'm going to jump into the interested parties. These are all the projects that I've expressed interest on. That's it. It's nothing special. You can remove your interest if you want, or you can go to the project. And the save searches. So this is going to keep track of all of your saved searches. Remember, there's 3 different places you can do it, from the project search by details, the keyword, and solicitations. So I can click on these and find all the other searches that I've done, right? If I'm not getting the information I want from the saved search I created, I can come back in here and edit it and update the criteria. Let's say I want to make sure that design contract is available, and then save it. And now it'll update the results I get back on the daily digest to fit that criteria. All right. So remember earlier I mentioned that project ID number. This is just one thing I want to show you real quick, and then we'll start see if anyone has any questions or any searches they want to do. But the project ID here is just a way for you to jump into a project profile and bypass all the search functions. So if I know what that number is, let's say 1468, I can search for it, and then it'll automatically pop up that project profile. Voila. This one's on hold, but that is how that function works. I just wanted to show you because it's actually pretty cool. So with that said, I would love to hear if anyone has any questions. Gary, you have your hand up. Dan, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thanks.
Sure. All right. Well, if you do have any other questions you can think of later on, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them for you. Like I said, my contact information is on the website. It's also on the front page as well. So if you're not logged in, you have the opportunity to reach out to me. Maybe if you get locked out. I'm easy to get a hold of. So with that, I will let you get on with your Friday and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.